Have you ever felt guilty for feeling good? What if I told you that pleasure is the path to spiritual ascension? Welcome to Teresa's Tips for Transcendence. My name is Teresa Schley-Lombardi, and today's topic is, if it feels good, do it. I'm the author of Penelope in the Divine, a fictional personal narrative about a sensual woman born with special powers and her journey through the world of erotic dance and toward spiritual transcendence. So why is pleasure important? Because pleasure is the path to transcendence. When we were told by our parents, clergy, and teachers that we had to work hard and struggle in order to enter the kingdom of God, we were told a bold-faced lie. The second chakra, or the sacral chakra, is an energy center located around the area of the reproductive organs. It's responsible for creation, creativity, sexuality, sexual pleasure, sensual pleasure, among other things. Now, religious dogma over the centuries has told us that we need to cut off this energy center because it's too distracting, and instead focus all of our energy on the crown chakra, which is a spiritual center sort of around the top of your head, far, far away from those pesky reproductive organs. And in this way, we will be closer to God. Now everybody's safe, but this isn't true. By cutting off that energy center, we flat out deny the divinely created map of the human energy system. We are stuck with no outlet for bliss or pleasure, no roadmap, nothing to follow. Why is this important? Because as source beings, happiness is our birthright. Well-being is our birthright. Source is well-being. Source is bliss. We are source beings. We are God. We are source. So by cutting off the pleasure, we're cutting ourselves off from source. You are meant to feel, activate, speak, and be bliss. Without a roadmap for pleasure, we are basically screwed. If you are one of those people who were naturally born happy, I love you. I find you fascinating. This video is not for you. If you're like the rest of us, you're used to life being a struggle with money, with work, with family, with love, and we just get used to living that way. This video is for all the people knocking around this crazy planet wondering why life is such a struggle. I felt the same way until I discovered something totally crazy, totally off the wall, completely outside of my boundaries and skill set and bank of knowledge. I discovered pleasure. I discovered that pleasure is a cure-all. I basically had severe endocrine system issues, which meant that I walked around the planet like a dried-up zombie. For 3 years, I took every supplement known to man and beast, including 4 different types of pharmaceuticals. I saw 12 different Western and alternative healthcare practitioners, and nothing helped. I finally one day just said, forget it. I fired all of my practitioners, threw away all my supplements, and decided to focus on pleasure. I figured that at least my body would be bathed in, my little cells would be bathed in happiness and bliss, and that couldn't be any worse than taking all this stuff that didn't work for me anyway, and it would certainly cost a lot less money. What happened next was, within a matter of days, I felt significantly better. Within a matter of weeks, I felt exponentially better. And within a matter of months, I became a completely different person, and I became fully actualized into my authentic self. Was this easy? No. Committing to a life of pleasure takes discipline, believe it or not, and it takes commitment. Committing takes commitment. The reason why it can be difficult to commit to a life of pleasure is because you're basically going against what we recognize and perceive as the third-dimensional world. You need to start doing things differently than most people do. More than likely, you won't have role models for living a pleasurable and fulfilled life. You have to be the role model. You need to do the opposite of what most people around you are doing. Here are some easy steps that will get you started on a path to pleasure and lead you to a life of pleasure. There are simple questions that you can ask yourself throughout the day, and they're taken directly from my manifesto, which will be published very soon. So number 1 is, what would bring me the most pleasure right now? This could be anything from sipping a cup of hot tea, to sitting outside and watching the birds sing, to something more advanced. It's entirely up to you. You get to create it. Number 2, take a look at your tasks for the day and ask yourself, what are some pleasurable things that you can add to your list? And then do those things first. Now, this is where it gets really scary, but this is where you get the most payoff. So this is where you can make the most difference in your day. Start your day off by doing something pleasurable, and always do a pleasurable thing before doing an unpleasurable thing. Don't give in to temptation to deny yourself pleasure and put it off and do it later, because this is where your life will really start to open up. So number 3, when confronted with a task that you find less than pleasurable, just ask yourself, what can I do to make this more pleasurable? This could be anything from listening to music while you do it, or doing it outside as opposed to in the house, or inviting a friend over, or doing it naked. It's completely up to you. It's your pleasure. So what exactly does this have to do with transcendence? When you are living a pleasurable life, the happiness and energy that you radiate out comes back to you, and you affect everyone who's in your orbit. But more importantly, when you feel pleasure, you are in the moment. When you're in the moment, you are transcended. The more transcended moments you have throughout the day, the more you can transcend and be here, right now. As you have more moments of transcendence, you affect not only yourself, but your community and the planet. So give it a try. If it feels good, do it. Now, if you're feeling some resistance to this information, stop for a moment and ask yourself what you're resisting. What is the feeling that's coming up for you? Is it guilt? Is it anger? Is it fear? Is it value systems that were put upon you, or that you've just sort of come up with that really don't agree with you, or that you don't need to use anymore? Think about it, write it down, and release it. There's no reason for you to be resistant to pleasure. As a side note, giving into an addiction is not the same as feeling pleasure. When I was in the throes of my addiction, I always thought that the substance I was going to ingest was going to make me feel better, but it never did in the long run. If you want to truly feel authentic pleasure, stay as far away from any addictive substance as you can. The farther away you get from your addictive substance, the better chance you have to feel real, authentic pleasure. So my tip for today is go out of your way to make pleasure a priority. The more pleasure you feel, the more transcendent you will feel. The closer you will be to God, to Source, to your authentic self, to your inner being. Thank you for the opportunity to share this information with you today. I'm going to have additional information on how to lead a pleasurable life on my website. That's inthedivine.com. So visit. Also, if it's before June 28th, 2010, I'm still in the running for the next top spiritual author competition. The prize is a publishing contract, and I would appreciate it if you would vote for me to get me to the next round. Information to vote will also be on my website and will be in the ending title of this video. As all of Penelope's teachers say in my novel, Namaste. You are divine.